Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelist Ian Hank.
Hello.
You're going to be representing two allies this week. Are you prepared?
Yeah. I'll do my best. I usually talk my fair share, so.
Personalities coming from the top left square. And my forest-dwelling co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
Ben Moore might be joining us sometime throughout the podcast if his power comes back. Ben was scheduled to be on the podcast, but no power.
Did you know that you can reorder us now on Zoom if you click on someone, you can drag them somewhere else? So you can set us to whatever order you want, baby.
Oh, okay. Was that just added today, or
it was added in last week, earlier this week?
Yeah. Zoom's out, man. We're all getting back together this year. We're getting the band back together. Yeah. We don't need you, Zoom.
Come a few months, hopefully.
Too late with your fixes. Distinguished guests, we are here to talk about some of the biggest headlines in the world of video games throughout this week. But before we do that, we must answer for all of the mistakes we made last week. Daniel Bloodworth, begin corrections music, please. Boop. No mistakes.
What?
Hold on. Hold it.
I don't believe you.
Ian, do you know who Asterix and Obelix are? I'm going to throw that out. Do you know that?
That sounds familiar, actually. Once you say it, maybe I'll know, but...
They are two Viking-looking dudes. One's really big, one's really small, big beard. And they are an old classic comic strip. Huge in Europe. A lot of European fans of these Allies podcasts were like, what? You haven't heard of Asterix and Obelix? So a lot of people showing their support. Apparently there is and I've seen footage of this, an absolutely wild Game Boy Advance game that's like 3D. That's like one of the rare, they tried to make kind of a Mode 70 type of
cool.
animation. Yeah, it's worth.
I don't think I know.
Worth checking out.
Then.
Yeah, Asterix and Obelix Game Boy Advance. Do yourself a favor and go check out a couple clips from that.
The way the reactions are, it's like if you've never heard of the Ninja Turtles. Like it's that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, people
not an American thing.
Blown away.
Yeah.
But there's a fun side-scrolling beat 'em up that is coming in that franchise. But whereas I could recognize, I don't know if I could name them. If you show me a picture, I'd be like, I don't remember. But shout out to all of those fans. Of course, people had opinions about things that we said last week, but that's the only something that I would say was a correction or a clarification. End corrections music, please. Feels good.
We'll try to do better this time. We'll try to get more wrong.
Yeah. I'm counting on you. You got to get things wrong for two whole people.
I got to get wrong for two. I'm getting wrong for two now this week. Yep.
We'll get started in just a little bit. Before that, though, I want to start this podcast off on the right note. Something we can be happy about. Something we can cheer in video games. And there has been a legal win. This is something, they're going to make TV shows out of this, baby. They're going to make cop dramas out of this. For Morgan Mohala, A Silver Lining. A collaborative effort between Chinese police and gaming giant Tencent has led to the closure of what police say is the biggest ever video game cheat operation. The gang designed and sold cheats to popular video... I love the gang. Thank you, Morgan. Speaking of Ninja Turtles, it sounds like the Ninja Turtles come crashing through. Yeah. Batman's going to ret them out. The gang designed and sold cheats to popular video games, including Overwatch and Call of Duty Mobile. Roughly $76 million in revenue was made by the organization, which charged a subscription fee to clients. Police seized assets worth $46 million, including several luxury cars. That's why this headline really grabs you, is
wow.
They got the fleet, just the row. I don't know if people were driving them to work that day, or if they just they have them at the office. They're really good operation name. I'm curious, Ian, if you were going to have a heist, what would you call it? What would or a sting operation? What would be the code name for your sting operation?
Well, it's tough because you want your team name, your sting name has to be a pun on what you're doing. So it's situational. You can't just name a sting. You got to have it.
Yeah, I don't know if this one applies to that rationale.
But I mean, it's always got to be something like Operation Screaming Panda or something.
Okay.
Operation Jungle Falcon.
There you go.
Yeah.
Operation Chicken Drumstick was what was.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is good.
A very tasty sting operation. And they had a website selling to hundreds of countries and regions, local media reported. Subscription prices for users began around $10 a day, up to $200 a month. I don't know if this is something, if you are a Overwatch or Call of Duty mobile player, that you will see a difference.
Wait, $10 a day?
Yeah, for them cheats.
That would be more than $200 a month, wouldn't it? Maybe $300 a month.
Yeah. Hey, to get that, you're selling it. You're selling me on it already, Ian.
So it ranges from $10 a day down to $200 a month.
I'm officially upgrading to $200 a month. You're right. That's a better value.
Yeah, it's a better value.
Take that, Call of Duty mobile players. Online cheating, stuff like that, definitely something that I do not experience. But it's a win for the good guys. A silver lining.
I love saying hacks, like just accusing people of hacks, but really calmly, just going like, "Oh, hacks," like
These are good hacks, though. These are hacks to make the world better.
What?
What?
Didn't the police crack down on those companies selling illegal hacks?
They had to
they
hack
counter-hacked
the
planet. Yeah, hack the planet.
Last week, we talked about something that I want to touch on at the beginning of this podcast because it actually happened. Last week, we talked about the possibility of Sony shutting down the marketplaces, not right away, but later this year, for the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation Portable, and the Vita. Brutal that they can't just do PSP. They're axing Vita and PSP at the same time.
It's extremely brutal, which I'm sure we'll get to, but yeah.
And it's one thing, I think that's got to be a first that I've heard of, that like 2 gens of a product are just whoosh, out. They're doing it. They're actually, they announced it. Apparently several Vita developers were not warned about the store closure. So they were working on games that they're either going to release potentially in an unfinished state or going to crunch the hell out of their lives to try to finish, or they just gave up and said, okay, well, I guess that's a game you're never going to have on the Vita. And this was a very doctor's visit type of blog post. Like there was no emotion whatsoever in what they was like, just FYI, it's good for you to know that
it wasn't even a blog post, really. It was just part of their FAQ that's on there. They kind of have this list of these announcements that they send out, like these PSAs they email to people. Yeah.
Sony kind of likes to sneak in the bad news, they try to hide it sometimes. Like when they said that you'd have to pay for multiplayer back in the day, they sort of just slid it in amongst other stuff. I feel like this is kind of like that.
They called Variety and they were like, Variety, do you want to let people know that we're shutting these stores down? Variety's like, no.
No.
It wasn't Variety. It was, who did they
Wired.
get? Wired. Yeah, they called Wired.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Oh, right. Yeah. Got it. Not the actual story, just what they did before. Got it. Putting the joke together.
Have your in real time. Blood, has your opinions about this changed? Has this you sound like you got more to say? I just wanted to touch on it because it's actually happening, and some people weren't sure.
So the one thing that I mentioned last week is true, that this is the store shutting down and they're not removing the ability to download these games. You'll be able to download the games that you've already purchased indefinitely, but it's kind of similar to with them taking the Mario games off of the Switch. It puts you in this position of, oh well, now I need to look through and see if I want to buy any of those games right now, otherwise I'll never have them. So it's kind of this mix of things. It's like you don't have to panic about getting everything backed up and figuring out how you're going to download it all, because you're still going to be able to download it whenever you want if you already own it. But you do have sort of that other layer of, well, is there any of these things that I want to buy that I am not going to be able to easily buy afterwards? Or any of these digital PlayStation 1 games selling for $70 in physical copies, and so I'll spend the $6 right now or something along those lines.
Is this a good time for content creators to make top 20 games you should already own on your PlayStation 3 videos?
Yeah,
and articles?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, they should. Did they say when they're shutting it down?
Yeah, the date should be in there.
Okay.
This summer, I believe it's June or July. I had them last week. I believe it's June or July for the one. One is in August. They're 2 separate days.
Okay. Because in Blood, I don't know if you or somebody in Slack said this. I do wonder if if this means that they're going to roll PS3 games, PS1 classics, whatever, onto the PS5, the current PSN. If they're going to try to just make it all one big thing.
Right. The thing that makes me not think that is, if they were going to do it, then you would give the good news at the same time.
Right.
You wouldn't just say, hey, this is going away.
Yeah. Or barely say it, like you were saying, Ian, just kind of brush it under the rug, and that people are going to get upset about it, but there's nothing really they can do.
Sometimes I wonder, man, if these big companies do know that people are going to get upset about stuff. Sometimes they just do stuff and then are act surprised when they're like, "What? You're mad about this?" It's like, why would you not know that people would be mad about this? Like, of course.
Well, we were pondering like how to retaliate against this, how to make this like seem like a bad idea or seem like something that they would regret doing. And like, as consumers, we don't really have a ton of options here. To the contrary, I think sales are probably going to go maybe not through the roof, but like obviously people are going to be buying a lot.
The people that care about it will be
Q2 of 2021.
To me, it seems like a pretty easy value proposition of like, how much does this cost to maintain? How much are people buying things off of it? And as soon as the latter number gets even close to that first number, you just shut it down. Like, I think, I don't know, like.
Yeah, no, we didn't know what that number is. And interesting to me in this, it's like, now they're going to be spending money on servers that people can download this stuff without getting anything for it. It's really like people actually buying this that was bringing in revenue on these stores.
Yeah.
So it oddly is kind of like a nice, gift.
Yeah, I forgot about that you could still download
for
stuff
still being able to download stuff.
Yeah.
But, do you have got the dates, Blood?
Yeah, I've got the dates. So PlayStation 3. What's weird is the way I'll just read the sentence because it's oddly broken up. So we are closing PlayStation Store on PlayStation 3 consoles on 2nd July 2021, and on PlayStation Vita devices on 27th August 2021. So there's about a month and a half apart, almost 2 months apart. And additionally, the remaining purchase functionality of PSP will also retire on 2nd July 2021. So PS3 and PSP July, and then Vita in August.
Huh.
So I guess maybe they've already shut down some of the PSP stuff, and that's why they worded it differently. Yeah.
One would think that would be lumped in with the Vita, not the PS3, but I guess they all three kind of use the same architecture, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it too. Like there's some payment processing angle of all that stuff is managed, and that kind of thing might be outdated. With the Wii, the way they had broken it up was kind of interesting because they had, here's when you can stop adding points to your account, and then a year later, here's when you can, you'll no longer be able to spend those points, and then now like you can download those to who knows when. They haven't said when they'll actually shut the servers off to download.
It is interesting because like this is further ammunition in the quiver of people who still are in the physical media camps, where it's because like I've gone fully digital. Like nothing I have has a disc drive anymore. Right. Like I realized the other day I can't play Blu-rays anymore because my PS4 is broken. So like I'm just at the whims of Sony or whoever, like deciding not to sell stuff anymore. I guess my Switch can still get carts, but like, yeah.
And in the comments from last week's episode, a lot of people are, reminding us of DLC is really like the crucial thing. A lot of people are like, hey, it doesn't matter how crazy physical I am. I put in some of these discs if I don't have access to all of the added content.
Right.
We actually had somebody, maybe we'll get to later in Love and Respect, to just the profile. They're just like I got the game. I just, wanted to create a new profile, and it tried to log on to servers that weren't even there. So couldn't play the game. And it's of the big three, only one of them is really surviving this week in terms of making their audiences happy with like backwards compatibility and being able to access old games. Infamously, which doesn't really deserve much more attention than just being kind of lumped into this story, but Mario's dead. You can't play Mario, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. CNN's writing articles being like, is Nintendo gonna kill Mario?
I love it when the non-gaming press or whatever picks up the wrong element.
I bought Mario 3D All-Stars on the last day.
Nice. Rebel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't buy it at all.
They got you. Oh, yeah. Jones, that's the only way to win.
Yep.
But I'll not that I need to justify why I wanted to buy it or not, but it's the idea really that was that if it had been available indefinitely, like I do believe that I would have eventually bought it at some point when I was ready to play one of those games. And I had a blast. Like I would, getting into Mario 64, playing quite a bit of that, and then I popped in the other two, just the beginnings of them, just to see what they look like. And yeah, I enjoyed them. It's funny because I think they did something weird with Sunshine to compensate for their not having the analog triggers. So I think it's like rather than like pushing the button in all the way, is like you push the trigger for one spray and the shoulder button for the other spray, something like that, to hold yourself in place. But it's fine.
And according to our recent tier maker conversation with Michael Damiani, the Super Mario 64 was intended for the analog stick on the Nintendo 64 controller, and scoffed at any analog stick's attempt to recreate that Mario movement. So part of the reason why I never bought in, it's OG or bust. But then, of course, the backwards compatibility hero of this generation, and possibly last generation, Xbox, who we were already applauding last week, this week added a bunch of stuff to the Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta, which is a bummer if you're on iOS, which is still not available, but Android users are stoked because there's a bunch of Xbox and Xbox 360 games that are now on xCloud. So
and N64 games, if you really, look at it. Perfect Dark and Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie are now available to play on a Android if you want.
But it's just, it was surprising to me that they're literally, these are the three main console competitors in this industry, and like two of them just said screw you to their consumers in 1 week, and Xbox like, have some free games.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, because I don't care about cloud gaming really at all. There's very limited situations that I imagine I'm going to take advantage of that, but it just shows the trajectory that Xbox is on right now. The fact that games from across the entire history of Xbox are playable on an Xbox Series X is pretty admirable, and it's taken a lot of work for them to be able to do that, and for them to test all of those games before the Series X launched. And it's not perfect. There's still a lot of games missing. There's still a lot of rights that will probably never be cleared up, like the GoldenEye game that
of course
that you got to check out. But it's good to know that they have people that are working on this and expanding this, and that at least right now they're giving lip service to it. So it would be very difficult for them to change that direction.
Yeah, and I do look upon it as a good move for the future. Like, I think that now is almost the right time where people are ready for this kind of thing. Like, Stadia was too early. Like, all these other ones, the PS Now and whatever those other ones were called, were too early by far. And, like, this is too early still, but it's shored up by all the other stuff they have going on, like Game Pass and whatever. And, like, it's funny because you say now that you don't care about cloud gaming, but, once internet is a ubiquitous human right or whatever, and it comes out of space, and like, it's just like included in your taxes or whatever, like, that's how games will work, like 50, 60, 100 years from now, like, that's just how it's going to be. And so it'll be interesting. I think they're making a smart move to get in early, but who knows who will be the big players on it.
Yeah, not testing this now, Bloodworth, and like, bowing to the monetary whims of Nintendo with their arbitrary deadlines. You're on the wrong side of history, man. Get with the program.
Yeah. They're trying to be like Disney or something, like false scarcity on the digital product.
Yes.
They're putting it back in the vault, but except the mistake they're making is, or maybe the power play that they're making is they're not telling us when they're going to bring it back out, because I imagine they will, but who knows?
Poor Pixar animators are like, people shouldn't pay for our movies. It's like very strange what comes and goes on Disney Plus.
Yeah, Soul was free, wasn't it? But yeah, like, when they were doing Blu-rays,
I watched it, the Raya the Last Dragon or whatever. It's like I'm not
paying $40 for that shit. 30, whatever it is.
Yeah, 30.
Ian, what's Soul Cresta?
I don't know. I said it's like a shmup.
'Tis a shmup.
It's a shmup by Platinum. Two things I am frequently not super interested in.
But you've heard of Platinum. You hadn't heard of Soul Cresta,
of course.
Where are they? Terra Cresta or Moon Cresta?
Oh.
Now, Moon Cresta I was super into.
Right.
No, but I mean, of course I know Platinum. Like, I beat Automata and everything, so.
Is that you wear that as your Platinum badge of honor? You're like, you're at the Platinum social party with your cocktail.
Not that I would call it that, but.
I got end credits. What end credits? The end credits,
The actual end credits. The ninth end credits. I got it.
Yeah. You do your special
or whatever the
Nier Automata handshake.
Yeah, I did the thing with the saves, whatever.
Soul Cresta
game.
is your this Easy Alice podcast brought to you by this week's game announcement, Soul Cresta. It's a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up, a sequel to the 1985 arcade games Terra Cresta.
Oh.
If you're curious about the franchise, Moon Cresta and Terra Cresta are available as arcade archives on the PlayStation 4.
For now.
There's for now. I think that'll be around hopefully for a little bit longer. No release date, but they have fun teasing at the end of the trailer. They literally are like counting down. It's like, oh, is it 7, 6, 5? And then it doesn't actually land on anything. What's interesting about this, I mean, I was tempted to talk about it just because it is a fun game announcement, but this is number 4 of the Platinum 4. Ian, do you know what the Platinum 4 are?
Oh, shit. Yes. They announced a while back that they had a thing called the Platinum 4. They were
Right.
going to make 4 announcements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this
And I guess
website
this is the
with all
fourth
these
one.
little sparkles.
They had that
Yeah.
sparkly website. If you asked me what 1, 2, and 3 were, I would not be able to remember
the
that.
first one was
Bloodworth, what are 1, 2, and
101.
3? No.
Oh, yeah, I do remember
No.
101.
It wasn't?
No.
It wasn't?
That was number 2.
Oh, okay. But it was one of them.
The Wonderful 101 remastered. The Kickstarter topped, $2 million. A lot of people showed up for that.
I do recall that.
What was
Also,
number
sorry
1?
I said that Nier Automata was dumb. I was just kidding.
Did you say it was
Don't
dumb?
get mad at me. I was just joking, though. It was a fun game.
What was
I
what was
forgot that
number
people
one,
get
then?
really serious
Nier
about that
Automata isn't dumb. Being proud of beating it is dumb, is what we're,
game. Sure,
what
yeah.
we're saying. Yeah.
No, be proud of whatever you want. What was the first one? And the third one?
Well, the thing that's, I just want to talk about the Platinum 4 in general, because it's like, I'm
They
not.
weren't all games, right?
No, and that's the thing, is when a developer
That's
comes along and
right.
says they're making 4 announcements, and they're not 4 games. Is that
So
bad?
one of them was about
is that
a
our
studio,
fault?
right? There was a studio change.
The
Yeah, it was
third
like
announcement was the new Tokyo studio for Platinum Games. Their flagship studio is in Osaka, and so
do remember that.
and they're making live ops games. Some of the kids on the street like to call them live service games, but Platinum's calling them live ops.
Sure.
Sounds like a Call of Duty mode.
Ops.
Live ops.
Live ops.
For consoles, and nothing yet has come out of Tokyo. The Tokyo Platinum Game Studio. What was that first one though? It's a new game.
Damn it, Jones. What was that first one?
Directed by Hideki Kamiya. The conclusion of his superhero trilogy.
Oh, No More Heroes 3?
Beginning with
Nope.
No.
Beautiful
That's
Joe,
Grasshopper.
and then
Oh, that's Grasshopper.
Wonderful 101, and then now it doesn't have an official name yet.
This is embarrassing, dude.
Project GG.
Wow.
I have no memory of that.
It's a good time to talk about it because it's big monsters, man. Big monsters tearing up towns. It's a good week to have
love
that with the
that.
Kong and the Godzilla fighting. And yeah, there's big. There's a dog that gets like trapped underneath a big boulder or like a piece of building, and then some hero comes along, turns into a giant robot, and then goes after the monster. And you're like, can you just free the dog just for a second before you go fight that thing? Can you just move this block so the leash can be freed and the dog can run away? But yeah, the big clash between a big robot dude that's hiding in smoke and a big lizard-y assuming monster. Project GG. Still don't have an official title for it. So there we go. So we're kicking it off. There's your expectations. 4 announcements. The
When
first
are we
one,
getting
holy
Project
cow.
DGD?
Kaiju game from Hideki Kamiya, the pseudo-sequel to Beautiful Joe and Wonderful 101. Then the next one is not only a remaster, but a Kickstarter. So, we're not even sure if we're doing this yet. And then it was very successful. Third one's a
Yeah.
new
They
studio,
were
which is
pretty
also
sure they were
very
doing
exciting.
that.
But
They were
haven't.
sure they were
Right.
doing it.
That game released like 2 months later.
Also, I can't believe that I just did my boy Suda dirty like that. Of course, No More Heroes.
It wasn't you. It was, see, that's the thing. When you have another panelist,
You got in my head.
I can
dude.
just reserve.
Yeah, that was Ben.
I can
saying
copy paste you into another window, and then have all the things that you regret. I can just have you say it in that window.
Yeah.
It'll be our window of regret.
Go
for
ahead
this
and just
episode
keep
of
me in the
podcast.
regret window,
Sure.
Jones. Everything I say.
On the
is
opposite,
bad.
you let me know when you say something good, and I'll put you back up top.
Yeah, that'll be simpler. That'll be fewer times.
So this is the fourth, number 4. So we got the end of the trilogy, a remaster, a new studio, and then now a shmup, which is super cool for shmup fans. Definitely an old school vibe to this game. Lots of fun old school sound effects, and doesn't necessarily look like a 1985 arcade game, but it definitely has that flair. And apparently there's going to be a 5th quote unquote bonus announcement sometime this year.
Bonus.
Which I don't know.
So where do you draw the line?
Yeah,
like
it's
every
like what-
announcement this company makes forever is like,
Right.
there's a secret
It's
bonus
like when-
19th announcement.
They're never, after that, we're done with announcements.
No more.
Yeah,
they're
a
not
year
called
later definitely
announcements
feels
anymore.
like that's a long wait for that last little sparkle.
Right.
After that, they're called communication ops.
Right. Like we just had EZX last week, and I kept saying that, we're going to have a couple things announced that I called the Bloodworth 2, and it just didn't really generate a lot of excitement in our
Yeah.
community. But how do you feel? I mean, just the Platinum 4. How do we feel at the end of the day?
Seems like it peaked at 2 and then kind of
Right.
went.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I almost feel like it peaked at like when they first announced that they're going to do 4 announcements.
Yeah.
That's when the most
Sure.
excitement was there, and yeah, I had totally forgotten that they still had one left. They never got around to until now.
Also, potentially a bummer. Again, these are not games that are like at the, apex of my radar, but here we have 4 crazy announcements and crazy pieces of news to share with you while development continues on Bayonetta 3 and Babylon's Fall.
Yeah, right.
Neither one of
Yeah,
those
that's the
games
thing,
have
man.
anything to do with any
The
of these
announcements that people really want.
Man, are we busy doing all of these things except the 2 games that we have shown you already that you are excited about.
It's a real George R. R. Martin kind of situation
Sure.
where it's
yeah.
like, just do the thing we want you to do. Quit doing all this other crap.
Can you imagine how livid Game of Thrones fans would be if George R. R. Martin made a shmup? I give up with you, man.
Maybe contributed lore
That
to
is
a
Elden
shmup.
Ring, actually.
I mean, that is what Elden
it's a
Ring
shmup
has.
on horseback.
It has shmup elements. Yeah.
But it should be fun. And again, no release date, but it was certified in at least one country. So people are saying that'll probably happen this month. It's the beginning of the month, so
sure.
it'll probably happen sometime in April. You'll be getting your hands on Soul.
I mean, if
Cresta.
they're ready to announce it or pre-announce it like a year ago, then yeah.
Right. And it's just worth noting that it is April Fool's Day now. It might be the 2nd or the 4th, or it might be next week if you're listening to this podcast. But we are recording this on April Fool's Day, and so it's a minefield of nonsense that I'm, going through. And I feel bad because I think just in general, it's kind of a news week that it's not a lot of hot, spicy news this week. And I think there is a reason.
No color changing hair dye from us.
No Zoom.
That Way Forward game looked funny, if real.
Zoom Battle Royale was
dating game.
IGN's contribution. Thanks for that. That is the last you'll be hearing of official things. Hopefully, people had to preface, Soul Crest is not an April Fool's joke. That actually is
I don't know why people announce things on April Fool's.
Yeah,
that
it's a
are
bad
real.
idea.
Just wait till the 2nd.
I have never worked
do it
for a
on the
company
30th.
and have ever been involved in an April Fool's joke, ever. Just never.
Yeah, I remember you've always kind of hated April Fools.
I've never
haven't you?
participated. Well, the one thing I always want to do at game trailers is just have it turn into like 1988 or something on game trailers. You just boot it up one day and it's just all NES reviews and news
Fringe
news
did
of the day.
intros like that sometimes.
But a lot of work, little payoff.
Very expensive.
A lot of
Yeah.
work. That's an expensive chuckle right there.
Yep.
I think if you take the
Yeah,
time.
because
and
it's not even like,
Yeah.
whoa. It's just like, oh, cool.
Okay.
Where's the thing I wanted?
So, shout out to everybody going out there doing the tough work for collecting all of those things. I will not be doing on this podcast,
I like
but
April Fools.
I will be talking about silly things. As such, our next story. I mentioned this in headlines, and Bloodworth asked me, "What is the Ever Given?" That sounds like a From Software game. That sounds like a George R. R. Martin side story about like something that happened 300 years before Game of
Does
Thrones.
Ian
The Ever
know?
Given. Do you know what the Ever Given is? Don't look it up.
No.
What's the matter with you?
I was looking in Slack. I was because I
The
my
Ever
brain
Given.
deleted this one when I was reading the rundown. The Ever Given Crisis
A lot of listeners,
and Games.
yeah, a lot of listeners probably know what the Ever Given is, but I just got to get a guess from from both Ian
You're
and
putting
Bloodworth.
us on the spot
What is?
this whole episode.
Well, that's the
We
funny
don't know
thing.
what
He's
the
even
hell-
like, "Don't prepare, don't look it up."
No,
Like,
no.
Yeah.
What-
I'm just supposed to be ashamed for not knowing what.
No,
You
this
want
is.
to make
you're
us
not-
look like fools.
I knew about. I think you know about this. I knew about it. I
First
didn't know that
asterisk
name.
and asterisk.
There-
Then I screwed up on Suda.
What's your guess, Ian? What's the Ever Given? Just out of curiosity.
All right, since you wrote the Ever Given Crisis and Games,
Right.
my guess is it's a long-running manga that also had a Japanese MMO that had an anime spin-off that also has a convention around it that I've never heard of.
Okay.
And now they've announced a first-person shooter.
I loved every minute of it. None of it's true, but I loved it.
Darn.
Is it Marvel?
It's Marvel. It's close though. That's a good. Generally, if I'm talking about anything associated with news, it's a safe bet. Although everything Marvel is Falcon and Winter Soldier right now. The Ever Given is a boat. It's a big boat. Okay.
It does sound like a boat
It's
or
a boat.
horse name.
It's a big boat. Last week, this big boat
Ever Given
was cruising down the Suez Canal.
Okay, that's the name of the boat.
That's
Got
the
it.
name
Okay.
of the Suez Canal boat?
And for reasons...
I even saw a picture that said Ever Given and I forgot.
Yes,
I
for
thought it
reasons
said Evergreen. My brain
that
just put the wrong.
no
letters
one
together.
has figured out. They have not released why yet. This boat just parked itself right into the size of a very narrow section of the Suez Canal and stuck its butt in the other corner, and nobody could get through the Suez Canal. Why am I bringing this up? Because absolutely every single industry in the world was affected by this. A lot of people had to sail now down by the southern cape of Africa to try to get around. It was very funny to watch, maps of just these little triangles, out of the way. Apparently, this cost roughly $10 billion a day. And a lot of things could not get through this canal. A lot of stuff couldn't get shipped. I would love to think that there is a giant shipping container full of video games. It's literally full of, bringing PSPs and Vitas to the masses, and they just can't get them out. But there is a lot of tech that is not being delivered. Specifically, the Analog Pocket has been delayed for a lot of different reasons, but they did specifically mention it was first going to come out in 2020. Now it's coming out in May. Oh, then it was coming out in May, and now it is coming out in October. And they've listed a lot of things, a shortage in electrical components like semiconductor chips, but specific chips. But specifically, they were like, and this isn't helping matters either. And so I bring it up because I'm curious if it's like the new Cyberpunk had a bad launch where just all these companies are like, cool, get out of jail free card. We can just say like, oh yeah, we had, Fred was coming to work on that shipping container boat and he was a week late. It is now fixed. They are now moving forward. But because you heard of the event, you were familiar with it. Like I've heard stories around.
I saw so many memes.
But I don't know why people thought it was funny, but
the Boromir one was good.
Right? Yeah. There was the this excavator trying to pull sand away as a meme in the making. But has anything ever happened in games that directed you towards something that you probably would be more well-versed in if you had watched the 11 o'clock news or gone to major news websites instead of just playing video games before? It's kind of what happened to me today. I was like, oh, Analog Pocket got delayed, bummer. Oh, because of what's the Ever Given? Oh! The headlines were like, unless you've been living under a rock. And I was like, I have. I've been playing.
Yep, welcome aboard.
I've been playing lots of Monster Hunter Rise and doing a fundraising event.
We had a week-long event. But
we did.
Yeah.
I never latched on to the name of the ship. That's all it was. I definitely was aware that it was happening. It was shoved in my face many times, but just didn't catch
news
the name
things
of the boat.
have delayed synths. I've been aware of that in the past, like tariffs making it harder to get synths in America, stuff like that. I'm trying to think of gaming related or world stuff messing up games though.
Or just awareness, just games kind of pulling, redirecting you out of this wonderful hobby that we have, and then all of a sudden you just kind of come out bleary-eyed into the real world. What's happening? It's like I
try to stay as unaware of the real world as possible, Jonesy.
It kind of reminds me of award ceremonies when they're just like, and the nominees are, and I'm like, what TV show is this? What? Who is it? What? When the Tonys happen, it's like, what's on Broadway? So yeah, I did not know a heck of a lot about this, but when you have world events like this, when you have things that concern geography, that's when Microsoft Flight Simulator comes to the rescue.
Oh my.
Third-party mods that you can get now for Microsoft Flight Simulator have recreated both the boat in its very precarious position, so you can just fly way overhead and just see the crazy impact that this had, and the traffic jam. They have simulated that. Obviously, this stuff is not happening in real time because a lot of this stuff was captured, a long time ago for Flight Simulator. But just love those third-party mods sweeping in.
That's so funny.
And crazy that they still don't know. They're doing investigations on what happened, and there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. A lot of people own this. Obviously, the event itself has nothing to do with games, but directly.
I saw a little tidbit fly by, which I didn't read enough to give an informed opinion on, but that the full moon helped get it out.
Oh, because it would
raise the tides and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And made it.
That is something I was wondering about. Is
that,
like.
maybe?
When I saw that, I was like, "Man, who's getting fired for this?" Like,
They don't know.
what a costly mistake if it was somebody's fault. Also,
yeah.
I read like a whole bunch of shipping containers were falling off ships because of like high winds and storms the week before that too. It's been a bad couple of weeks for shipping containers.
It's like a Fast and the Furious movie up in here, you know? That's when they schedule the boat to crash so then they can jump the car.
Oh, yeah.
Over the shipping containers.
Yeah, the shipping container fell off the back of a truck.
10 bill. And now, a word from our sponsors. This show is brought to you by our new sponsor, BetterHelp Online Therapy. A good week for me personally to drop this. Feels good. A lot of us take care of our bodies, but in 2020 and 2021, times have been rough. So we might also want to take care of our minds. There's a misunderstanding of what therapy is. It can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be sitting around talking about your feelings. A lot of people battle with their temper, or their stress is about to kill them, or they have depression, anxiety, PTSD, the list goes on. If this is you, you can use therapy to get some tools that make life easier. When everyone is struggling with something, there's no more shame. You don't have to tell everyone your personal business, but you can talk to a therapist about it privately. I don't need either of you to talk about any therapy experience that you have. I am happy to talk about the benefits of therapy. I have talked to different therapists throughout my life about various things, and I came to a epiphany. I actually was not on the Easy Allies podcast back when Kyle was moderator when we talked about something involving therapy, and I was like, therapy is really simple. There's no one person in your life, I mean, your experiences may vary, where you can tell everything to. Because you're always going to get to some topic. You're like, wow, I can't talk about that one person because that's the person I would not want to talk to about that one thing. That's what's nice about a therapist, because everything can be on or off the table. You can talk about anything that you want to. And it's funny. It's kind of like putting on a jacket or going to the bathroom or getting in the shower. There's just weird times where you'll be like, I really need an answer to this. I really need to figure out this problem. And you'll find yourself doing a completely mundane activity when all of a sudden, oh, there it is. And sometimes when you're just telling someone a story, when you're just talking through something, halfway through that story, all of a sudden, oh, now that I hear myself talking about it, now that I can see somebody's facial reactions when I'm explaining these things. And when I talked to my therapist after the pandemic, she was like, I thought all my customers were going to go away, or all my clients were going to bail, because like, I don't want to Zoom therapy. I don't want to do that. And like, she's never been busier. So therapy has a lot of benefits.
Great.
Obviously, stuff concerning mental health is a different case for every single person that wants to do it. But from my experience, nothing but thumbs up.
I've been in therapy, in and out of therapy my whole damn life. It's necessary. Everyone should do it. There's like a weird stigma with it sometimes. I've used BetterHelp before. It's like anything. You have to like sometimes go through a couple to find one you like. Mm-hmm. But like,
well, that's the other thing too. There's no shame in meeting with a therapist and being like, nope, don't really.
Yeah.
You know. Some
necessary, I would say.
Some therapists, certainly are
done that a few times.
Better for you than others.
Some are just bad.
Some are just, yeah.
You could shop through them. It's great.
Believe it or not, there are some bad medical professionals out there. That's why BetterHelp is helping. It's customized online therapy that offers video, phone, even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. You can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself, because you are your greatest asset. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Easy Allies listeners get 10% off of their first month at betterhelp.com/allies. That's BetterHelp.com/allies. Feels good. Go watch Mindful Games, youtube.com/easy. It's time again to talk about Daniel Bloodworth's number one mouse. It's a gaming mouse. It's an administrative mouse. It's multi-performing. It's super light. It's jet black and badass looking, and he can hold it. Dun, dun, dun. It is the Logitech G Pro X Super Light Wireless Gaming Mouse. designed with the world's leading pros to engineer the world's best competitive gaming mouse. And you also have a cool mouse, but it is not specifically the mouse that we were talking about. I got product listings here, man.
This is a different Logitech mouse.
Yeah. We're going to get notes for that, dude. We're going to get called on it.
Thrilled that I use a Logitech mouse.
They're going to say it's my fault with minimal hype.
It's a G502. Mine.
With hyper minimal redesign, Pro X Superlight is their fastest and lightest Pro mouse ever, weighing in at under 63 grams. Can that mouse claim it? I don't think so.
This is a different mouse.
It's not 63 grams. That looks like a heavy-ass mouse.
I added weight to my other one.
Almost 25% lighter than standard Pro Wireless mice. Zero misses. Logitech G exclusive Hero 25K sensor provides unrivaled precision, speed, and consistency. Pro X Superlight delivers extreme accuracy and ultra-fine control for complete confidence, especially during the intense, split-second moments of tournament play. Go back to EasyX. Watch us stream League of Legends. You can see this in action.
It pays off. It pays off.
Powered by Lightspeed, Pro X Superlight is their fastest and most reliable Pro mouse yet, and available in black and white. You can go cool like Bloodworth and get the black version, or you can get the white version. For a limited time, Logitech G is offering our listeners express shipping at logitechg.com. Use code EasyAllies free ship 44 for express shipping today. That's express shipping for all Logitech G products, including, Ian's mouse, whatever. With promo code EasyAllies, free ship 44. Hurry now, since the promo code expires in 3 days. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. I don't want to throw anybody right now, okay? We got people that have committed to this podcast. We're about halfway through, all right? We're about 40 to 45 minutes of the way through. I am now going to hand off to Daniel Bloodworth, who's going to do a segment.
Ian has no idea the context for that, why that just happened. But, yeah.
Oh, I read Slack. I know what's happening.
Okay,
it's like the Ever Given. You know or you don't know.
But, yeah, I want to bring, every once in a while, I'll go through my emails and I'll see something and I'm like, hey, I haven't heard of this before. And so I'm like, hey, have you heard about Forgotten Fields?
I hadn't.
Yeah. And I found out about it the other day. And I went to Steam, and there's a demo on Steam. And so I played through the demo, it appears to be the prologue of the game. It ends with the title screen, basically. And it's essentially a point-and-click adventure game. I would say that in terms of the demo, I don't know how far back the demo goes, but it does feel a little bit rough in terms of controls. I was doing this weird thing where, like, okay, I feel comfortable walking around with the controller, but then pointing at things feels weird, so I'll go to mouse and keyboard, and then it was like, okay, well, pointing at stuff feels good, but walking around feels awkward. So I just had this feeling of like bouncing back and forth.
I used a controller, and would I think I lament that. I wish I had done, because there's a lot of just I specifically want to point at that thing and click on it. Unscrewing bolts and stuff. It's like a little tricky with the analog stick.
But what I like is the vibes, and it's taking inspiration from the warm coastal locales of Goa, India, which is a place I'm not familiar with, but this does feel like a kind of a shoreline, lots of palm trees, lots of kind of rural areas, and you play as a writer who has a deadline due at the end of the day and just doesn't feel like he's got it in him anymore, and his friend comes over and is like, hey, you're sitting in a dark room, man. Like, open up the curtains and turn the lights on. And his family invites him because they're about to sell like the old childhood house, and so they're gonna have one last dinner with everybody. And so there's this interesting kind of back and forth between doing things in this person's life that then inspires what his story is going to be about. And so you talking to your neighbor about fixing the scooter, and you kind of go through these motions of like turning the key and checking the gas and all of this stuff, and in the midst of that sparks an idea, and so then you cut to the story he's telling about with this girl with supernatural powers, and while he's thinking about his family selling the house, she's watching her house burn down, and so there's a lot of interesting little parallels there.
I think that was my most, having played the demo, I think that was the most interesting part of it, is seeing, I kind of got excited, because I was talking to Ian before the podcast. It's like it can be a little rough following things, reading stories about, having writer's block or having artists that don't feel creatively fulfilled, because that is the worst. And this dude has like the best friends ever. He has two friends that show up and they're just like, "You're the best, man. You can write whatever. I believe in you. Here's a sandwich." Like they're just like so nice. He's like lives above a guy who's like, "We never hang out, but I still want to be friends with you. It's cool. Let me fix your scooter." It's like, nice. But I got kind of excited when you started to get ideas and you kind of started to see this story take shape.
Some of my best friends I never hang out with.
It's true. I haven't hung out with you guys for a year.
Some of my best coworkers too.
It's true. It's true.
But and then it has after you fix the scooter and before you get to the house, it has kind of this, what I'd call a very don't nod kind of sequence where you're just driving through like all the back roads, and while there's like some music and guitars playing, and you just see all the scenery. And so that's the thing to me. Like I know, Jones, you kind of felt like it was depressing, but to me it was just kind of like this laid back vibe. So I thought with mindful games and everything going on, it might be something you'd be into.
It just hits so close to home. It's like watching Silicon Valley, and they'll like make a joke, and I'm like, haha, that's not funny. It's like,
I can't watch stuff about startups or failing filmmakers or writers or actors and stuff. It's just too
little too real, too real. But I mean, affecting. I mean, that's like the best thing that I can say about it is it, it definitely hit close to home, because he's got a deadline. He's got a deadline for a grant. So this is, he's already written a book. This is his second book. And this will give him, just a little bit more time to, obviously he's got bills on his desk that you can examine. So just financially, this means a lot to him. And you'll be surprised for all of you creative types out there when the real world starts to kind of encroach and close in on you. It is not a fun feeling, even if you're just virtually going through all of it.
What I think is interesting too in there is, like you said, everyone's super supportive, which obviously is not always true to life. But I think that emphasizes the kind of, the self-doubt that they're going through, right? Like even his publisher is like, look, it's just one thing. It's not the end of the world. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. But at the same time, he's just so stressed because that deadline is tonight, and it's like I've got to do this dinner tonight. Like he doesn't want to do it, but he knows that like this is he has to be there with everybody. And so it's kind of like learning. Yeah, it feels like he's gonna be learning to kind of get outside of himself a bit.
And speaking of creative feedback, they had a nice just message at the end when the demo was over. They're like, "Hey, reach out to us. Let us know what you thought of the demo. If there's anything." As Blow was saying, it's a little rough around the edges. One of my favorite things about the demo was I could still move the character even when the demo stopped. So it like brought up a screen that was like, "Okay, you're done with the demo," and I was like, "Wait a minute, like let me try to hold on." And he gave that like classic adventure game like, "I shouldn't go through this door yet. I got something else to do." And I was like, let's go to the beach. Come on. I'm like,
so the demo is available on Steam right now, and then it's going to come out on the 14th.
Nice. Thank you, Glenn. I love a good video game rivalry. I miss them. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you talk to Huber, and, he wants both the Genesis and the Super Nintendo to win. But, like, I don't know. There's just something about two people doing the exact same thing. And I feel bad that, like where we are, like with the console generation, it's like Xbox is really focusing on, performance in some areas, and they got the backwards compatibility. Sony got your exclusive franchises, your big kind of AAA releases. And
remember when we did a versus of Capcom versus Konami?
I do. Yeah, Versus.
Those were the best show.
Versus was
when
way
Konami
too much work.
Could compete.
Yeah.
Capcom kind of won that one.
Yeah. But and Nintendo's got this console that just sells the most every month. It's like the PSP and the Vita are going out the door, and the Switch is here to stay. So I love to see two people doing the same exact thing. And just announced is EA is going back to the PGA Tour. Oh yeah, we're talking about golf. EA ditched the PGA Tour after Rory McIlroy. Shout out to Rory McIlroy, huge shoes to fill, taking over the PGA Tour from Tiger Woods, who that was the EA golf franchise for a super long time. And then he took over in 2015. It's kind of like George Clooney becoming Batman. And then they're done. And then there's like, all right, we're not going to make these for a while. And EA's bringing back PGA Tour. They also recently announced, as we reported on this podcast, because we don't miss any of these sports announcements from EA, they're coming back to college football after not doing college football for a super long time. 2K, who also likes to make those sports games, just like Electronic Arts, not as many as they used to, recently acquired HB Studios, which was the developer of PGA Tour 2K21. So they're not only going to continue with their PGA Tour run, they acquired the studios and signed a deal with Tiger Woods. So now EA is going the PGA Tour route. This is like the official PGA Tour game through Electronic Arts, but 2K is going the Tiger Woods route, bringing him on board. Tiger is taking an executive director credit and serving as a consultant. Little backstory: HB Studio started with 2K for the Golf Club 2019, PGA Tour 2K21.
Oh, the Golf Club was so they put that game out because I remember Matt Blair was interested in it.
Oh,
they put that game out, I think, independently, and then 2K signed them on. So that's interesting.
We got an empty square on this podcast. Let me see if I can get Matt Blair on the phone here. There's no time.
It's like 3 hours later for and just so I'm clear, golf's that thing what Mario plays, right?
Sometimes. He's going to play it again this summer. I'm very
excited.
excited.
Both called PGA Tour? So there's a PGA Tour 2K21, and then what's the EA one
PGA
called?
Tour 2K21, and I think EA's is just PGA Tour, probably 2021. Or PGA Tour 21, maybe.
EA Sports PGA Tour.
There you go. Yeah, the EA Sports you got to put. They're all under E whenever you check these things. It's not Madden. You don't want to look up M. You want to look up EA Sports Madden NFL.
Marketing. Okay.
I hope for multiple marketing nightmares throughout this entire process. PGA Tour 2K21 has almost shipped 2 million units, so that was a success for them. HB worked with EA on cricket, and then they worked on FIFA, Madden NFL, NBA Live, and one time on the other PGA Tour franchise, but now they're working with 2K. There's one little wrinkle with all of this. I don't know if you reported this, if this was also something you were potentially under a rock. Tiger Woods just got in a pretty gnarly car accident.
Yeah.
And I actually have some personal life experience to share, which was fascinating because I found out this because my mom sent it to me, who's a big golf fan, but also because he crashed his car in my old neighborhood where my parents are still living now, good old Palos Verdes. And he crashed in a place where you have to really not be paying attention. You got to be driving your car super fast to crash this car. And the people who were investigating the crash are still like, so we don't know. It could be Tiger's fault, but like...
It's Tiger Woods. He's got a lot of money.
The last thing I had read is that they knew, but they're not disclosing.
Right. It's just we don't specifically have the details, which is fishy.
Tiger's lawyers won't let
Coming
them
from me,
disclose.
that's fishy. So Tiger's taking a break right now. David Ismailer's not worried about it, the president of 2K. He said, we came to an agreement in partnership in advance of that accident, but it doesn't change our relationship of him becoming our executive director for the title, helping us decide talent, events, courses. He's got a wealth of knowledge. He's one of golf's most precious icons, and we think between acquiring HB and working with Tiger, we've got an incredible opportunity to build golf in the video game space. So I ask you, Ian Hink and Daniel Bloodworth, would you rather have Tiger Woods recovering at home or the official license of the PGA Tour? If you could choose between those. Tiger Woods, who doesn't golf anymore, might not be golfing for a long time.
Were I to guess, the executive director, whatever titles are more honorary than actual. Like, I don't think Tiger's going to set foot in that office.
They are in film, for sure. Whenever you see the separate screen for like the actors, it's like, okay, that's a contract.
I think that they just are paying for the likeness, the name, and the recognition. What I'm really curious is are both games going to get the Titleist license for the balls?
I don't. Damn it! I take it back. Take the podcast back. I don't have that information. Do you license balls for golf games?
I spend a lot of time thinking about balls.
This is true. I don't spend enough time reading about balls, apparently. What do you think, Blood? Where are you putting your money? Who would you rather have? Who do you think is in better shape right now, Electronic Arts or 2K? And, of course, the ultimate question, who's going to sell more? This is a good time for EA to come back. Or is Tiger like, no, man?
I think that... Yeah, it's interesting because I think that EA will probably, with the name, people will probably still associate that as the same thing, even if it's not the same thing. But 2K could have the better game. Because I don't know
And
if
the 2K brand is pretty like established.
Yeah.
Too.
And EA hasn't been at this for 6 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Which maybe is what they need to mix it up. Come in with fresh new ideas, you know?
Oh, it'll be
Tiger
built on
Woods is gonna hold you
Frostbite,
to
so
the
that will
task.
probably not be the better game for sure.
Oh, yeah. If they're using Frostbite, it's dead.
Which for, listeners at home, when you're like, wow, we're talking about golf on the Easy Allies podcast.
Big news week.
I know, I'm giving a lot of shade to Frostbite, but it's probably
It
fine.
is that. Yeah.
Developers I've talked to don't like Frostbite.
Right.
They don't care for that engine.
So do you have an official answer, Blood? Who do you think's going to win? This
Gonna-
is a
I mean,
hardcore
that's the thing, though. I like that.
rivalry.
That's what I like, though, man. We've gone through so many iterations of sports games where EA has just like closed in and shut out any competition. That I like to see that there's two going on. You know, I like to see an EA game and a 2K game, and hopefully they'll be at the same caliber, and people will fight over which one's better. Because you
Safe
just don't get
answer.
enough of that right now with those games.
Depressingly democratic of you, Bloodworth. Ian, who's winning? Who wins? Who's getting dropped off the platform onto the spikes?
I think that, probably 2K. I don't know. EA's got some bad will, and if it's Frostbite engine, that'll be tough to program for. But fresh blood, so it could be either one, Jonesy.
Well, the real bummer is, Ben's power's out. He couldn't be on the podcast, and Ben is, as all of you listeners know, huge golf fan. So we really
Big golfer.
It's a bummer.
You know what's freaky? I wonder if, because I have some uncles who like golfing. I've done some golfing. I used to golf. So I wonder who's done the most golfing and why it might be me.
I have golfed in the real golf. Definitely video game golfed a lot more. I believe I bought Rory McIlroy World. I think it was just because there hadn't been a Mario Golf in a really long time, and I was hungry.
Yeah,
there were lots of
like me some
lots of
Mario
fun little
golf.
mini games, golfing at night. Lots of fun little neon fireworks and pretty colors.
That's gonna be a good stream.
I just want
Mario
my
golf.
sports games to have pretty colors. Also this week, as I said, we're recording this on April Fool's Day, so who knows? Literally, we could the corrections
All
list
10.
could be the biggest ever next week. And we're just like, actually, never mind. What if Sony's like, gotcha? That would not be cool. Bell and Wonderworld had to patch out a seizure risk on day one, which kind of seems like a game.
Story?
Yeah, it kind of seems like not necessarily a story you want to have on day one, but it seems like a game that would potentially have that. But thankfully, that is not in there anymore. Nexon is investing $1.5 billion in Konami, Sega, and Namco Bandai, among other companies like Hasbro, but specifically those three in the video game space. Just got a huge influx of capital, and going to be interesting to see specifically what they do it. No way to know. This week in convention cancellations, I got 3 of them for you, or rescheduling. PAX East has been canceled. An online-only event will be July 15th through the 18th. Summer Games Done Quick will be online only. That'll be July 4th to the 11th. And the next Tokyo Game Show will also be online only. That'll be September 30th to October 3rd. Might as well talk about this now, even though this came out like just before the podcast. But there's conflicting reports going around about E3 and whether E3 is going to have content behind a paywall.
Right.
Some people, Video Chronicle and some other outlets were reporting that. The ESA immediately jumped on it. We're like, no, there's going to be nothing associated with this.
No, not exactly. That's a little PR spin.
They didn't. They left the door open.
Yeah, they haven't said it's not going to be a paywall. What they're saying is they're going to have an experience that's free for everybody. So there could be a free experience and then a premium experience. So that's sort of, and that's clear in the story as well. But it's one of these things where they've pitched the idea out there and then they've gotten bad feedback. And so will it happen or will it not happen? This is probably just another round of feedback as far as they're concerned.
But the thing that's funny is, like, with Summer Games Done Quick and all these things or not Summer Games Done Quick, Summer Game Fest, like all these things that came in to fill the void before, if they're not doing a live thing again, E3, it's like, if they're not charging for it, the ESA, like, why would they do it? Like, they want to make money. What are they going to get out of it if they're not charging something? But if they are charging something, why would people pay it? unless it's like really good when they've got Summer Game Fest and all these other free things doing all the press conferences and stuff. So it's like a weird. Maybe they should just sit this year out too, man.
But that's what I'm saying. The point, the biggest point being is to not become irrelevant.
Right. They want to keep in the they want to keep in the zeitgeist.
The best thing that they can do is to get as many partners on board as they can and actually get some significant reveals. So, yeah, and
it's
and
a
that's
loss leader.
Yeah, and that's the thing at the end of the article that concerned me maybe the most is that they had talked to some publishers and like, yeah, we're gonna support E3 and the ESA, just kind of say we were there, but we're gonna save our big announcements are gonna come later. We're gonna do our own thing and we're gonna put it in another showcase, but not the E3. It's like, okay.
Well, a lot of these companies proved that to themselves last summer. They were like, oh, we kind of did just fine, without an E3. Maybe in a post-pandemic era where we actually do all get together, things will change. But still waiting. And we've heard, we're hearing all of this, via, it's kind of like playing the telephone game, all of these pitches that the ESA is making. But I love one of them. They were like, this is not, an in-person replacement. It's like, it is very much that. It's literally by definition, that's what that is. It is also not the Electronic Entertainment Expo. It's the Electronic Entertainment Experience.
Oh, heavens.
Yep. Still 3 E's, though. Still 3 E's. Microsoft is selling up to $22 billion in HoloLens headsets to the U.S. military.
$1 billion in or actual headsets? That's a
$1 billion worth of HoloLens headsets.
Okay, yeah, that makes way more sense.
I always chuckle when, no matter what it is, when they say the words "up to,"
right?
It means nothing at this point. You've said nothing to me. They could sell $500 worth of headsets. They just know that they're not going to sell more than that.
That was like when I was at Best Buy one time, and there was a shelf that said $3 and up, and then the first thing I noticed was the box set for Deadwood from HBO for $399, and I was like, wow, way up, it's way up.
That's what, every now and then you get those like the sticker tape thing breaks, and you can just like rush out the store with something for $20 that's like $200, some misprint. Got to take advantage when you can. I also just imagine these soldiers, just like demoing it, kind of like that scene of Fifth Element where they're trying out all the guns, and they just got the headsets on, like, oh, cool. It's like, and then, once your mission's done, you hit this button and it's Minecraft, and you're like, oh, cool, neat. Oh, make our own servers. Blood Rocket League is partnering with F1 and NASCAR for season 3.
Interesting.
Which is this month. Interesting. Rust is
the
coming.
F1 cars goes way too fast. You just like.
I mean, they'll probably just be like frames that look like the current cars, or specific racing teams, most likely.
But I always love when car brands are down for crashes. It just always seems like something that they get freaked out about. Like with Turismo, they're like, no, you can't scratch these cars.
There's a lot of crashing in Rocket League.
Right.
Cars don't really break apart. Yeah.
Fair. Rust is coming to PS4 and Xbox One in May. Earth Defense Force World Brothers, the voxel version of that franchise, is going to launch on May 27th. Genshin Impact is coming to PS5 this spring with quote-unquote enhanced visuals, also the fast load times and all of that, and the controller updating. Ratchet & Clank, the 2016 Ratchet & Clank that launched on PS4, is getting got a 60 FPS update on PlayStation 5. If you are thinking of picking that game up, you already own it.
As it is meant to be. Ratchet & Clank without 60 frames per second is strange.
Oh, I thought you meant free. Make Ratchet free. Cyberpunk 2077's multiplayer mode, game, sequel, Gaiden, whatever, is being quote-unquote reconsidered.
I bet it is.
They're talking about maybe making all of their stuff online or not at all. They're being extremely confusing in their messaging.
Yeah, they basically confused everybody with their announcement.
But what I love is it seems like every time there's something confusing about Cyberpunk 2077, we always hear what the investors think, like before I even hear about this. And so you get the response to investor calls where they're like, okay, and that's our announcement. Now we take questions. And it's like people are like, what the hell did you just say? Like, I don't understand what you're saying. Are you making a game or not? What's going on? And, I understand that they're probably nervous about officially announcing things, but they are being extremely cagey about that. If you want fine print on Cyberpunk 2077, you can check their latest patch note list for patch 1.2, which has over 500 lines of updates. And of course, still doesn't work in many fun ways that have been well documented online. The cars are still exploding all over the place. We got new art for Keiichiro Toyama's next horror game from Boca Game Studio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks cool.
I think one of the last times you were on the podcast, Ian, we got another piece of art from this, which is just like...
I'm keeping my eye on it.
I know. We probably won't actually get a trailer for that for a while, but...
yeah, it'll be a while.
Speaking of good horror content, Dead by Daylight's new killer is a K-pop star. With a dark secret. Yeah. The K-pop star's agent is like...
the killer, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what if he has a different dark secret that, other than... Like, everybody knows he's a psycho killer.
Yeah.
But his dark secret is that he, like...
Some crazy cutscene at the end about his taxes or
bathe
something.
with bananas or
well,
something.
it's funny, too, because they talk about the other playable character, the survivor, or whatever, is... I think it's his manager. And
funny.
And they talk about her backstory is like, she had a suspicion, but she looked the other way, and now she has to pay the price.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
Brutal. 505 bought the Ghost Runner IP for €5 million. So that did well enough for them to be interested in that.
Updates and extra modes for that, too, yeah.
Yeah, curious if that's to plan a Ghost Runner 2 or to get that into production right away, or if they just see other fun things about Euro.
That's like $80 billion.
That's exactly what that is.
It feels like they were just kind of...
We're over an hour. I expected way more corrections from you by this point, Ian, but that was a solid one. That was really good. You can lock that one in.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
That's true.
You can correct me on my lack of corrections, because I forgot.
Yeah, it feels in a way that like 505 is just sort of taking the baton to support the devs in the roadmap for that game a little bit better. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
And finally, Bloober Team was in talks to be acquired, but has withdrawn. They were like, you know what? We're going to make some of our own money.
Nice.
And they think they will do fine. Growing in popularity on their own. Best of luck to Bloober Team. Go out and make those horror games. It is time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
From Level Capybara. We live in a strange age where having your favorite game doesn't necessarily mean you can play it too. Super Mario Bros. 35 is probably the best recent example of what I'm lamenting here, but it's not the only one. I used to play the heck out of the Wii version of GoldenEye 007. Man, can you imagine playing an FPS online on a Nintendo Wii and enjoying every minute of it? Years later, I came back to it, knowing the online servers had probably been shut down. What I didn't know is I could no longer have access to even the single-player content either. I must have deleted my save data at some point, and when I tried to boot up the game to get a new profile going, it got stuck on an endless load screen as the game tried fruitlessly to connect to the internet to register that profile. Has something like this ever happened to you? More broadly, what games do you love and still have on hand but can no longer play? So we've talked a lot about this past week, but specifically just any other examples. Doesn't have to do with... that you love.
That you love.
You didn't love Battleborn, you maniac.
Didn't even
I remember
review
kind of the first thing that comes to my mind is the old opposite version of this was back in the day when like a sequel would come out and your computer was either too good or too bad to play it. So, like, my dad and I never actually got to play the 11th Hour, the sequel to the 7th Guest, because we updated our computers.
Oh, no.
And they got too good to play it or something like that. Some weird thing. Some incompatibility. So I never got to play that. It's out on stuff now, but...
Have you gone back?
The moment had passed. I think I tried to start it one time and then didn't keep going, but... Yeah. Other examples I'm trying to think.
I mean, it's easy to think of... Yeah, the like live service games like that, like MAG or something, we bring up every now and then.
Your
it'd be interesting
MMOs.
to go back to that game and see how it fares nowadays. But
It's funny. It's like I'm tempted to bring up Final Fantasy 11, but like that's still going.
Yeah,
like I
totally.
could play Final Fantasy 11 tonight if I really, really wanted to.
But that stinker of the single player being inaccessible, that ain't right. But I've been hearing, about a lot of games like that, where people will wave and say, "Hey, this thing is, not letting me play because my internet connection dropped or whatever," and it doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, that happened recently with like Crash 4. I saw.
Yeah.
Like people couldn't play it because it's a single player game with no online functionality, but they couldn't play it because the internet went down or whatever.
It is not cool.
It is not cool. I tend to gravitate
Not
towards
good.
these games. I don't know if you remember, but Disney used to have their own internal development studio called Disney Interactive, and they made a bunch of fun games. Specifically, they made a game with figures called Disney Infinity. That was really great, and they had a product line and made a fair amount of money on it. Not enough. So
You can't play it anymore?
You can still play. You just can't download stuff. You can't upload stuff.
Right.
You can't interact with the community anymore.
I think the original Mario Maker is also now at a point where you can't upload any more levels. You
I
can
think that's
download
true.
levels, but you can't upload anymore.
They retired it. Scott Pilgrim came back, though.
Did. So
Mhm.
there's hope for stuff, hopefully.
Delisting's a little different, though, because
Yeah. That was like a legal...
it's like if you
snafu.
had the game, you could play it. Whereas in this case, they've got GoldenEye on Wii, and they cannot play the game.
Right.
That is...
It's like if you
ridiculous.
couldn't play PT even if you had it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it was always fascinating to me. I don't work on projects like this that much anymore, but you used to do a lot of retros, and at Game Trailers, I was always just like breaking out random PC games and just like, for like Outbreak, we just played recently, and I had to use bots for that. But like, I remember we did the Wolfenstein retrospective, and I was like, Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Like, hopefully there's a couple servers running this, and just like hundreds of people playing that game. Like at the time, it was like, all right.
I remember for an easy update, Ben and I tried to play Unreal Tournament, and it was really weird to try to get working, and we eventually gave up on it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
From Andreas Klinthaus, if there was a Westworld of video games, where would you like to visit? Raccoon City before or during the fall, Shadow Moses, Mushroom Kingdom. Mine personally would be Sandover Village from Jak and Daxter. I love the vibes there and would look like a cool villager just fishing or hanging out on the beach.
Oh, dude.
Where do you want to go to simulate the world?
Visiting the Mushroom Kingdom would be insane. Very interesting to walk around
Tiring.
that place.
Tiring. Just get up on this mushroom. Oh, God.
But do you need to do all that? Or is that just what Mario has to go through for whatever's going on?
Mario's running the whole game.
Never stops running.
He never stops running.
I'm thinking like Morrowind or like Breath of the Wild. Like places that are like open and you can do crazy stuff. Breath of the Wild doesn't have a lot of people though, so you'd kind of lose out on that. I mean, Cyberpunk, it'd be cool if you could actually be there and do stuff.
What do you think Night City smells like?
Bad.
Probably bad.
It does not smell good.
Real bad. Like Hollywood. The worst thing I've ever smelled in my entire life.
I've been places that smell worse in Hollywood. Animal Crossing Town. It'd be fun if you could just,
Oh,
Animal
yeah.
go to
Crossing
your
would be
Animal Crossing
delightful.
town. I would love to take Huber and try to survive the fall of Raccoon City. That would be fantastic.
That would be-
Little robot zombies wandering around. That would be a
Silent
tremendous
Hill
amount
would
of
be a crazy like haunted house experience, like going through the fog, like trying
Yeah.
to get through it. Oh my god, that'd be terrifying.
Be a bummer though, because generally, if you go to the Halloween themed theme park stuff, which I dearly miss and can't wait to get back to one of these days, you just constantly hear the fog machines just going the whole time.
Well, this would be a Westworld situation.
Right.
So it's a whole big park. And I imagine for a Silent Hill themed one, they would do a psychological profile on you first and then specifically torture you for the things you've done wrong. Like you'd be there to be punished.
Whoa.
Yeah,
So you wouldn't
it'd be
want to do
great.
that with friends because they would be like, "What is that giant thing? What
They'd
was
be
that?"
in on it.
You're like,
They would get like it'd be like the game. Basically doing the Silent Hill one is like David Fincher's The Game.
For
okay.
sure.
Your friends would all be in on it.
Ben Moore. Dropping
Out of
in.
nowhere.
Shadow dropping onto the podcast.
Yeah, I was caught in a frame trap.
Ben, I got a love and respect question custom tailored for you from Anthony Stevens. But before we get into that, I want to know what Ben Moore image should I put in the square during your absence for 80% of this podcast?
GA, probably.
Okay, good to know. All right, from Anthony Stevens. As a competitive fighting game player and someone who's been studying kickboxing and kendo in their time, I am fascinated with the world of martial arts in real life and media, particularly in video games, animation, and sometimes films. Since you have another fighting game fan with an interest in the competitive side of the genre on your panel this week, I propose a game to you all called Martial Art or Martial Rat. I have assembled a list of martial arts styles, a pretty hefty list. Buckle up, everybody. The panels that have been represented by characters in various fighting games. The panel's job is to discuss whether the style mentioned is real, that would be an art, or fictional, and that would be a rat. Bonus kudos points if you can tell us the name of the game series and characters that have represented that style. The style descriptions can be used as a clue to help guess the game's characters, but also a brief overview of each style mentioned. If I say the name and you know, jump in. I will read the styles anyway because they are all fascinating. Thank you for accepting my game, and if you do and still enjoy your content after 3 years supporting you as a group, thank you, Anthony. Love and respect from the UK.
I have to imagine a lot of these come from Tekken / Virtua Fighter, but we'll see.
All right.
There are some martial arts rats too. I just have to say.
This is true.
There's Splinter.
Maybe somebody's inspired by this, and we'll get some martial art rats and some game in next week's podcast. You won't be around for that one, though, Ben. Sorry. Kicking it off in alphabetical order with Baji Quan. Baji Quan.
So that's the fighting style.
That is the fighting style. At any point, let me know if you believe firmly that that is an art or a rat.
I should say, despite my keen interest in fighting games, I really don't know jack shit about martial arts. Like, I've never picked a character because of their martial arts style.
That starts
I know
today.
There's that capoeira guy.
This will be Baji Quan.
Baji Quan.
Real.
And this,
art.
and keep in mind, I'll read you the description. This is the description that is either in real life or said in the game. So all of these have descriptions. Baji Quan is a Chinese martial art that features explosive short-range power and is famous for its elbow and shoulder strikes. Its full name is Kai Men Baji Quan, which means open gate, 8 extremities fist.
That sounds more like Tony Jaa. What does he do? Muay Thai. It's all bows.
I'm going to say real. I'm also going to say Tekken for representation.
I'm looking for art or rat.
Art.
I didn't make the rules of this one. Okay.
Art.
I'll say rat.
I'll say rat.
Tis real. Akira from Virtua Fighter practices this. Kokoro from Dead or Alive, and Leo from Tekken.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, Dead or Alive would be the other one that would make sense. Yeah.
but good call on Tekken
Checks
there.
out. Yeah.
Bushinryu. Translated to martial god-style ninja techniques / spells. The style relies on swift movements that overwhelm the opponent, employing speedy and unpredictable mix-ups to manipulate a target into making a mistake and using the environment to gain position. Bushinryu.
I'm going to say rat.
Art.
I'll say art.
That is a rat. Ben is doing well. Ben is against his other two opponents.
0 for 2 here.
Yeah.
Guy and Zeku from Street Fighter. Zeku?
Zeku.
Z-E-K-U?
Mm-hmm.
Guy and Zeku both employ Bushinryu.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
that-
it's in the games, but
It's
it's,
in the-
not real.
Right.
Yes,
There is
correct.
descriptions for it.
Gosh.
Somebody has said it before, but
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
actually in real life?
So it's a real thing in a game or not
Yes.
in the games or real at all. Okay.
Wow.
Hakyoku Saiken. An ancient kung fu style, which expects its students to be not only of powerful and skilled physical prowess, but of strong mind, positive discipline, and also good-natured, not controlled by any negative emotions. Its ancient scrolls teach energy channeling, combat arts, and recuperation.
I hope this is real.
Hakyoku
Art.
Saiken.
I'll say art.
I will say
like-
rat.
Ben's
I like
3
the
for 3.
positive.
Oh my gosh.
Damn it!
Terry Bogard, which is a name I do recall. Who's
Okay.
in Smash now. Geese Howard and Tung Fu of Kingdom Fighters and Fatal Fury fame. Practice Hakyoku
Wait, he
Saiken.
said rat.
He did say rat.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
rat.
correct.
These
It's
these
not-
characters
it's not-
employ
it's not a real
but it is
world.
not real.
In
Oh,
Yeah.
but they're all from games.
Yeah.
they're all-
Yes.
yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
I think we're failing
Sorry.
our listening comprehension skills. today.
Well, I thought it was real or fake.
Ben, whatever you're
from a
doing, it's
game.
working. So
Yeah.
however
Yeah,
you
yeah,
comprehend this game, keep doing it that way.
Yeah.
Hapkido, a highly eclectic
real.
Korean martial art. It is a form of self-defense that employs
Yeah.
joint
Yeah.
locks, grappling, and throwing techniques
Yeah,
similar to
this
those
is-
of other martial arts, as well as kicks,
This
punches,
exists
art.
in real life.
and other striking attacks. Tis. Who practices Hapkido? Very, 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 very famous martial artist in video game fighting games.
Liu
No.
Kang?
He's on the poster of a movie, maybe potentially playing at a theater near you sometime in 2021. Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
Oh.
Practices
Okay.
Hapkido.
Well, I mean, okay, but Scorpion is also well known for throwing chain blade at you and breathing fire.
Right.
But
He's got
Yeah.
some magic.
Right.
He mixes it.
Yeah.
It's the base. It's just the
Yeah.
base. Iaido, a Japanese martial art that emphasizes being aware and capable of quickly drawing the sword and responding to sudden attacks. Iaido.
That seems art.
Rat.
I'm gonna say art.
It is an art. Ben, are you undefeated at this so far?
I'm undefeated. I'm gonna say Soul Calibur.
Perhaps my references here are Ukyo from Samurai Showdown and Johnny from Guilty Gear.
Ah.
Johnny from Guilty.
Iaido.
Flinging coins at people.
Kaioken, translated to Realm King Fist. It is a form that multiplies the user's ki for
This
a
is
heartbeat,
Dragon Ball.
Yeah, this
This is
is.
Dragon Ball.
I've definitely heard of
Thus
this.
This is
increasing
Rat.
their power
This
and
is
speed.
Rat. Yeah, this is.
and enabling them to inflict serious damage
This
to
is
opponents who
Dragon
are
Ball.
considerably stronger than them. Sounds pretty cool, right?
Yeah,
Rat.
That's Goku. Yeah, that's the rat.
yeah, that's good.
Dragon Ball.
Kobudo, translated to old martial arts, is a collective term for Japanese traditional techniques with the use of armor, blades, firearms, and techniques related to combat and horse riding. Kobudo.
Art.
I'm
Kobudo.
I'm gonna say art. Yes.
That's an art. It's real. Orchid from Killer Instinct practices Kobudo. Kyokugen. Kyokugen. Kyokugen karate is described as a deadly martial art that can only be taught with a mind that focuses on self-defense. It therefore limits the amount of users for the more advanced techniques, as a character named Takuma needs to hand select his disciples.
Yeah, this is a rat.
That
That
sounds like a rat.
It gets very specific.
I think you shot yourself in the foot by saying it's described as. It's like, it's not real.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah.
there's been a trend between these ones that aren't real, where it's like, it's just very vague, and it's like it focuses on discipline and the mind. Yeah.
Word on the
Yeah,
street
yeah, yeah.
is.
Well, to me, the idea that there's just one person, like, okay, well,
Yeah,
it's
there's
just gone
also
when this
that.
guy
Once they die. Yeah.
Ryo Sakazaki, Robert Garcia, and Yuri Sakazaki from King of Fighters all practice Kyokugen. Pankration? Pankration. Pankration. Pankratian? I don't know. Pankration was a sporting event introduced into the Greek Olympic Games in 648 BC and was an empty-hand submission sport with scarcely any rules. The athletes used boxing and wrestling techniques, but also others, such as kicking and holds, locks and chokes on the ground. Keep in mind, a video game character employs this, so this could have been... It might not have been added to the Greek Olympic Games in 648 BC. Don't fall for it. Unless you're confident.
I'm going to say art.
Art.
Did you say yours, Ian? I'm sorry, I was waiting for you.
Art.
Oh, okay. It is. Jeffrey from Virtua Fighter loves it. Pankration.
Jeffrey.
Pankration, or who knows. Shorinji Kempo, a Japanese martial art considered to be a modified version of Shaolin Kung Fu. Translated to Shaolin Temple Boxing, it is a holistic system whose training methods are divided into 3 parts: self-defense training, mental training, and health training. Shorinji
What's it called
Kempo. Shorinji Kempo.
I'm also going to say art for this.
I'll say art. Yeah.
Rat.
It's real. 'Tis an art. Lars Alexanderson from Tekken likes the Shorinji Kempo.
There's so many.
Yeah. Shotokan. Although Shotokan karate is a real style of karate developed from various martial arts and is regarded as a dynamic martial art as it develops anaerobic, powerful techniques as well as developing speed, the game and characters showcase bears little resemblance to its real... Oh, wait, you just... Yeah.
This is
To
a
its
rat.
real-life discipline.
Yeah,
the
this
fighting
is
style
Street-
is
this is Street
assassination
Fighter.
art that was found in Japan during the feudal age.
It basically says that it's not real in its own
That
description.
It's a
description,
ret,
yeah.
and it's Street Fighter.
That is Ryu and Ken. That's what they do. The
Yeah.
Shotokan.
Yeah. Shotos.
How about just Shokan? Shokan is a fighting style named after a race of large creatures that dwarf humans in size and boast
Yeah,
incredible
this is a rat. This is a rat.
As a composite species, they combine the traits of dragons and humans alike, resembling oversized muscular humans with dragon-esque eyes. Any takers of who?
I'm gonna go art just because it's too ridiculous.
That would
Yeah,
be
I'm gonna
wonderful
say
if it
art.
was. Tis not. Tis a rat, but who? Who? What rat?
A Kum.
Goro.
No.
Yes,
Oh,
blood.
Goro.
Yes. Did you just based on giant people with oversized?
Yeah, basically.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, cool. All Sirius, like the the FM service and the star, fully known as Sirius-style purification sorcery. The user conjures the holy power of Sirius within them to overwhelm their enemies in battle. Hear me out. The style includes punches, kicks, elbow and knee strikes, and shoulder tackles done in a showy and flamboyant manner, unlike the rest of these, right? Which are done very conservatively.
Art.
That's
Rat.
That's a rat. That's not real. But Claudio from Tekken 7 does it.
Oh wait, sorry, I zoned out. I did not even listen to that entire description.
You would have got it. You would have got it. Okay. Come on, you're killing it. You're killing it. One more. Sistema. Sistema is a martial art that was created during the 400-year-old Mongol occupation of Russia. It was created to provide a martial art that could be taught, learned quickly, and easily to provide maximum protection and self-defense by utilizing close-quarters combat. Good CQC.
Art.
This is Tekken. I'll say art.
It's real. I have Marie or just Marie Rose from Dead or Alive and Colin from Street Fighter V. But it could also be
I thought
Tekken.
for sure. I thought for
Could
sure
be.
it was Tekken.
Could be.
Could be wrong.
Again, Anthony Stevens is studying it, is interested in it. Could have possibly missed one here or there, but lovely to have Ben. And it's just before we skip away, we had a love and respect earlier. Ben, if you could go to a Westworld based on any video game property, where would you go? Like Westworld is westerns. If it's it's just robots, you don't have to worry about dying or anything. It's all fake.
I don't have to worry about dying or anything.
It's
Boy,
like
that
Westworld,
changes thing. Yeah. No, you're right.
Well, I mean,
Westworld wasn't functioning properly.
right.
Right.
Launch year, Westworld.
There's a lot of places that I would really like to go to, but I think the world of Monster Hunter would be pretty great. Having felines cook me food, being able to simulate, taking the vibe of Westworld into account, and simulating being able to actually go out there and hunt monsters, I think would be pretty dope.
It's time for bets. Next week's bet. Oddworld Soulstorm launches on April 6th for the PC, PS4, and PS5. Oddworld Soulstorm, if you haven't heard about that, has been in every single media event for the last 2 years because they are really trying to get the word out and get as many demos as possible.
I don't think it was an iceberg ahead.
To get to get as much.
I was gonna say, was that a joke
as
or was
much
that
gameplay.
true?
I think it's misdirects, but I think other than that. So I'm curious how many people are going to check this out when it comes out, specifically the critics. When we record next week's podcast, how many outlets will have submitted an official review according to OpenCritic? Ian.
54.
54. Your notepad had eyeballs for a second there. That was terrifying.
Yep.
Ben.
54.
I originally wrote down 26, but then I changed it to 34, which is my favorite number.
Okay.
We still got the low, so that's good.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Well, hopefully.
Kind of in the middle there, 42.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, you don't got the low
Well, we
anymore,
still got
baby.
the low.
22. Bagoom.
Damn, you guys don't believe in Oddworld.
I do believe in it. I don't believe in the coverage of it.
Right, I'm just going for
I'm
that.
the high?
Yeah, I think
We got the high.
I think it also might be crazy hard, and maybe people who only get it at launch might not have it finished by the time we record the podcast. 2 days after that comes out, we will be recording, so we will see. Last week's bet, Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5, 2.5, 2.83, and Melody of Memory are now all available on PC. At midnight on March 30th, the day that they came out, they're going into that day, 12 o'clock a.m., March 30th, I wanted to know where Kingdom Hearts would be on Google Trends. Brad Ellis bet 95. The scale is 1 to 100. 100's the top, 1 is the low. 100 means it is the most popular either more popular it's ever been or as popular as it has ever been.
So wait, sorry. Of all things being searched or just for this thing being searched?
Just for this one term, yeah.
Okay.
Brad Ellis bet 95. Ben bet 90. Bloodworth bet 84. I bet 85, just ahead of Bloodworth. I checked before we recorded this podcast, and here's the trick. It swoops. So at night, it dips considerably, which is a bummer, because you would hope people around the world would back us up on that Kingdom Hearts searching. But surprisingly low at midnight, 42. It was at 100 during the day. It peaked at 100 during the day, but at midnight, it was at 42, giving the lowest score the win, which was Daniel Bloodworth at 84.
Ooh.
Nice.
Damn.
Ooh. And we all believed, none of us knew that I would have voted much slower had I actually paid attention to that. which brings our scores to Jovial Penguins 8.
Gentlemen, start your screaming.
I will. Vociferous Beavers 6.
Nom 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 nom.
My Vociferous Beaver screams now.
Okay.
As of this podcast. I just want to say, Blood, you got the win. You got more wins than me, obviously, but I was close. 84 to 85. You know, we both had
Yeah, that was close.
the mindset. We were in sync on that one. We'll see where we are at next week.
I mean, you were both way off.
This is true. All of us were way off.
Right.
But we're coming back, only 2 behind. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. There's a lot of fun exclusive things that you can get on patreon.com/easyallies. There's a lot of stuff that we do early in advance that you can get a week early, but we really wanted to focus on people that show up to Patreon in our last EasyX event. And there's, speaking of a lot of fun things that you can get, you can check out on patreon.com/easyallies for that event. But specifically, if you were like, yeah, I've checked out the Easy Allies and I've seen stuff that they've done before, we got some spoiler modes coming up that we are doing because we got a tremendous support during EasyX. If you would like to see us discuss Super Mario Brothers the movie and Street Fighter the movie, those have been scheduled. Those are happening this month. Those are going to be pretty dynamite discussions. They will be 100% exclusive to patreon.com/easyallies, along with all the other spoiler modes that we have done in the past.
I had to order a DVD of Super Mario Bros.
We got to get, speaking of Ring Fit, we got to get
I got to figure out how to watch that DVD now, but...
But Brandon, for me, it was Tuesday.
It's true. It's true. That's a reference. At our very tip-top tier, we got a whole new batch. We got some oldies and some goodies. We got a bunch of new people jumping in because of EasyX, kicking off April with a updated list of shout-outs at the very tip-top shout-out tier. Ian, you are going first. I'm going after you. Blood, you are going after me. And Ben, you are wrapping it up. Shout out to Alex AI, Caleb Togi Crawford, Edsgar, So I'm a Spider, So What, L. Thanos, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Nick, Sage Mode Q, and Stephen Thomason.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Bloodworth, thank you very much for winning this podcast. You get to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get the final word on anything you disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into your head. And you get to sign off with your trademark sign-off.
All right.
And thank you, Ben, for joining. It's good to have you at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Happy your brother's back.
So for video, I'll promote the Nier preview that Ben and Brad just did. Pretty cool to see that game coming back and tip-top shape, I guess I could say. One of the issues with the original game was just like how dated and performance and everything that it had going on, and so to be able to come back in a way that's a better light, it'd be really interesting to see what Ben's final thoughts are later, but you can see the first few hours, his impressions of the first few hours in that preview. I'm going to do something a little unconventional because of everything that's happened. For final word, I want to know what or if Ben thinks about Soul Cresta.
I don't know what Soul Cresta is.
Oh, even Ben didn't know. See?
Oh, we got it. Yeah, I'm sorry. We got it. We got to dig in.
4, dude.
No, we got questions. We got to dig in.
Everyone forgot.
This is number 4 of the Platinum 4. Do you remember the Platinum 4, Ben? Can you recite the Platinum 4?
Probably not. No, it's been so long. I'm just waiting for Bayonetta 3, dude.
I know. Yeah. That's what we said.
That's what we said.
In your absence, Ben, I uttered the words Bayonetta 3. I just wanted to know.
Wasn't Bayonetta 3? Wasn't that announced like 1997? Like, let's go.
It was not in the. Yeah, Project GG, Wonderful 101 remastered. Their new Tokyo studio, and now they're making a shmup.
Soul Cresta.
Called Soul Cresta, SOL Cresta. That is the sequel to Terra Cresta, which was the sequel to Moon Cresta.
It definitely has a deep fondness for the shmups, so that's not surprising.
Go.
Yeah.
And we'll see you before the next Blood Moon rises.
First asterisk and asterisk. Also, sorry I said that Nier Automata was dumb. I was just kidding. Don't get mad at me.